Hey, we need to thank our sponsors of Ask George, Smile Group Travel.
We do. Smile are specialists in worldwide sport travel, and this winter they'll be taking England fans to the Caribbean for an exciting white ball series.
They really are genuinely amazing in that I've been on trips with them where I ended up in Gordon Greenwich's house, where he cooked for us, told us stories about his career, made me drink far more rum than was sensible. Maybe didn't make me, but genuinely, you get experiences which you wouldn't get with every tour operator. That I genuinely recommend them.
Yeah, that's right. As part of the trip, you'll get to meet and greet famous West Indies and England cricketers of yesteryear at private events. You'll stay in comfort at carefully selected hotels. All your travel will be taken care of, and you've got dedicated tour managers who just ensure everything runs smoothly for you when you're out there.
Yeah, they really are a good way of enjoying a hassle-free tour with personal touch. And I think there'll be a link in the episode description for you to follow. And they probably won't make you wear the Smile hat, which I have to wear throughout this series.
Hello and welcome to Ask George, where unfortunately it's washouts 2, England 1. Right, you've already answered question number 1, George, which was from Richard Anderson, who asked, are you planning to answer the questions in the pouring rain, as is the traditional thing to do?
Only a madman, a desperate madman would do that.
Next up, Erica Morris is playing a 4-match series in England, poor preparation for West Indies and US pitches. And she goes on to say, other teams are playing out in the Caribbean. Is this going to be kind of the undoing of England going into this tournament?
It's probably not ideal in that you would want longer in the Caribbean, but I get the logic of it, actually. I think what they thought is they could get 4 games against good quality opposition in decent conditions. And while that's not exactly what they're going to be playing on, the surfaces they're going to be playing on in the Caribbean, at least it gives them game time. It gives them a chance to get some role recognition. So I don't think the logic was awful. Equally, they could have gone to the Caribbean and not played on surfaces which are going to be like the ones they play on in the tournament. They go to different countries, and conditions in the Caribbean vary a lot, even from ground to ground. We don't know what to expect in Barbados either. It could be very, very slow and sluggish, as we've seen in test matches. And I've actually seen the quickest surface I've ever seen there as well in the 2010 T20 World Cup. So the logic is okay, and I wouldn't want to be overly critical. Look, in an ideal world, you'd have them together for much longer. You play a bit in the Caribbean against good quality opposition, but the real world has IPLs scheduled in it and all these other tournaments, and they have to be realistic. I actually thought that England management had done well, calling the players back early, getting them together, scheduling this series. They've been a little bit unlucky, but I guess if you want to be really harsh, you would say, well, why only leave it 4 games? They could well go into the World Cup, having played only 1 T20 this year. That doesn't feel like enough, does it?
Sticking on the rain theme, Jack Cruel asks, when will we finally sell Lords so we can have a national stadium with a roof?
So I suspect that Jack is making fun of me because I have said, sort of tongue-in-cheek, several times, that you could sell Lords, and there are plans for a different stadium on the outline of the Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park, actually. And they reckon that Lords is valued at somewhere between 2.5 and 3 billion. They have moved twice before. Yeah, it is the third Lords, isn't it? I don't think it's that radical. You're not saying, I don't think it's that radical, but it's not going to happen. But you could do it. You could build, there are plans for a 50,000 seater stadium, looks terrific, with a roof in London. But we let tradition get in the way, and tradition's important, of course it is. But the game does have to move on. And days like this, I don't know, it's going to be very difficult to capture a new generation's interest if this sort of thing keeps happening. I mean, I don't think it's that ridiculous to suggest that you could build a new ground, but I suspect that Jack, bless him, is making fun of me, and I don't think for a second that the world is going to accept this as a plan. But I genuinely think it's worth talking about and thinking about. By the way, you're not knocking down the long room and stuff. It's still there. It's still an amazing place with its incredible history and stuff. But the rest of it, it's just stands. They get knocked down and replaced all the time. Yeah. And the rest of it, you're not going to build on the grass. It's still an open space. I don't know. I think it would be a really good thing to build grounds with roofs. But I say this to you every few months, don't I?
You do. From Lords to the IPL, Sushan asks, the IPL is good for players to earn well-deserved money, but has it ever helped any English player improve?
Yeah, of course it has. Yeah, it can do both things. I mean, I do get the point, I suppose, that sometimes I think people say, in the past, have said they're basically only going there to help them be a better player. And of course, they're earning lots of money, but so they should. I mean, they shouldn't be embarrassed by that at all. Good luck to them. I think loads of players have improved for going there, going way back to KP and Owen Morgan, but Jofra, Joss Butler. They're playing against very, very high quality opposition in high pressure situations with big crowds. Fantastic preparation. So I think it's a contributory factor to England's 2019 World Cup win. There's a legit question there about the balance. I mean, there's been quite a fuss from some people in India about England players withdrawing, but let's remember the IPL didn't even announce its end dates by the time it started. I mean, you can't expect people to just hang around waiting for Indian cricket. So it's been brilliant. It's really high quality. I think it's great that the players have a chance to earn decent amounts of money, but I still think England comes first. I think the IPL is absolutely great to help English players prepare to go and beat India. Very nice of them to let them do it. And actually, you know what? It's probably a factor. Where Adelaide, the World Cup semi-final in the last World Cup, when England beat India by 10 wickets, I wondered at the time whether, genuinely, where England were benefiting from the generosity of India as hosts, really, allowing players to go and play there, but they're stopping their own players going and playing in other tournaments, which might, in some ways, inhibit their development. So I do think there are pros and cons, and that's something to think about. Yeah.
From IPL to Test cricket, Daniel Shaw asks, "What's the top 3 new ball bowling options for England in the post-Anderson era?"
No idea. Honestly, I don't really know. I mean, there are lots of options, but it depends where. I mean, which wickets. If you're playing in England, you'd do absolutely fine with Cook, but you do fine with Sanderson, or Rushworth even maybe in English conditions. But you're not looking at that. You're actually looking at who is going to win England tests in India. So then you might want to be looking at Ollie Stone and Pennington and all the names that we've heard, Cars and all sorts of people. But it's going to take a long time to get the experience into those players, to give them the opportunity to fulfill their ability, which is why Anderson is retiring now, and other people will have a few months to get up to speed, even 18 months to get up to speed. Tough job.
Bring Steve-O back, I think.
Could be.
Steve Green asks, do you think Major League Cricket will become a force in T20s over the next few years?
Yeah, bound to. And that is both an opportunity and a threat to English cricket. But it looks as if there's a huge amount of money going into it. All I would say is that some of these leagues are competing against each other and some of them will fail. You would think that one would be okay, but I don't know. We catastrophize these things. Right now, it doesn't have a huge following and the quality isn't that good. But, if you invest a lot into it, it is a great game. Why wouldn't people in America want to go and watch? Why wouldn't it grow and develop? But it is interesting, isn't it, that England are they're involved in a T20 World Cup in America and the Caribbean. And then there is the MCL, and then there's an Olympic Games in America. And it's all designed to develop cricket in the country. And that's actually a threat to England. Interesting, isn't it? I think you've got to think a bit beyond the parochial and think that actually if we all grow, that's great. But the game will change and there will be challenges, but it'll come through it one way or another. Just things will change a little bit.
We're into the last two, which are very much rain break questions. Lord Lupin, bourbon or custard cream?
Bourbon, I'm not a monster.
Correct answer. Berkshire Blade, you might have to explain this one. What's your second favourite tweet?
Now, that is asked because I tweeted earlier a picture of Rishi Sunak on a pedestal out there because it was very wet and I made myself chuckle, which is pathetic, but I did. I made myself chuckle. I said that's my favourite tweet ever. And actually, I know what my second and third favourite are. Years and years ago, no doubt in a rain break, we were talking about the Beatles and cricket and putting them together. And my two favourites was, the Beatles and cricket. Are you with me? Are you with me, Owen?
Staying with it, yeah.
My two favourites were Happiness is a Warm Jenny Gun, which still makes me chuckle, and Raoul Travid explaining his nickname to Russell Arnold, which is, I am the Walrus. They're so bad, they're good. And look at me, I'm dressed up like a tour operator. But this is from our friend Smile, who are sponsoring this. They're not having a lot better luck than England, are they? Who's watching this? Let's be honest.
Well, on that positive note about our content,
on that bombshell, I'll see you in the rain on Thursday, and we'll do it all again in London. Should we do that?
We'll give it a good go. Yeah, we'll be doing it live from the Oval, so we'll catch you then.